Welcome to my first vlog. Today we're going to be covering skills and capacity issues with the back squat and overhead press. During this video we will use two athletes, one with a skill issue in both lifts and one with a capacity issue in both lifts. Here we have a soldier athlete performing the back squat. As we can see here, the athlete is struggling to reach parallel during the eccentric phase of the back squat. From a side angle during the back squat, it's clear to see that the athlete may have issues with his mobility in his hips or potentially his ankle mobility. From a side freeze angle, we can see the athlete is not reaching parallel. First protocol that we got the athlete to do was lie on his back and test his hip mobility by keeping one leg straight and one leg brought up towards the chest. As we can see here, he has adequate range of motion in his hips. We will now look to test the ankle mobility of the athlete using the half kneeling dorsiflexion test. As we can see here, the athlete can successfully touch his knee towards the wall at a distance of 4 inches. It is commonly thought that 5 inches or more is classed as a pass. So when we take the athlete to 5 inches, it's clear to see he does not have the range of motion in his ankles, as we can see by the foot coming off the floor. At 5 inches, when the athlete is cued to keep the foot flat to the floor, the knee then comes away from the wall. From the screening, we can now see that the athlete has a clear capacity issue during the back squat with the lack of dorsiflexion range of motion in the ankles. Firstly, we will look to increase the range of motion in the ankles by stretching the gastric and the soleus muscles in the calf. We will do this for 30 seconds on each side and we will do this 4 times. Another stretch we'll utilise will be introducing the therabands around the back of the knee and performing a deep lunge. This will force the knee forward while adding an active stretch onto the muscles around the calf and the ankles. Same as the first stretch, we will do this 30 seconds on each side and we will do that 4 times. After performing all the stretches and warming up for around 10 minutes, the athlete is now clearly showing a lot more range of motion in the ankles and performing the back squat to at least parallel. Looking at a side angle now, using the analysing software, we can see the athlete is performing the squat to parallel. The next movement our soldier athlete will now perform will be the strict press. Looking at the athlete from a front and also a side angle, it is clear to see the athlete is struggling to keep the bar trajectory on the concentric phase in a neutral position. He is also struggling to finish the movement at the top with the head coming through and also keeping the bar in line with the spine at the top of the movement. Using the analysing software, if we finished the frame at the top of the lift and look at the bar position, we can see that the bar is coming away from the centre of gravity and is not in an optimal position for this lift. Using various screening methods, we can see that the soldier athlete is struggling with his range of motion within his shoulders. This shows a clear capacity issue when performing the overhead press. Firstly, we'd like to introduce some active tension exercises using the therabands for the shoulders. The athlete will perform 3 sets of 20 reps. Next, we introduce some static holds for the athlete, starting at 10 seconds and working our way up to 30 seconds. We also introduced a static hold stretch on the triceps to improve the range of motion and efficiency of the triceps on the concentric phase of the movement. After spending time utilising the mentioned exercises, the athlete shows a clear improvement in his shoulder mobility. Looking at a side angle, as the athlete finishes the lift at the top of the movement, we can see a drastic improvement of the bar positioning, as demonstrated by the analysing software now. Here we have athlete B performing the back squat. He has clear pronation at the knees and also the ankle. If we look at a freeze frame of the bottom of the squat, we can see that the athlete's knees, ankles and toes are not in line. Looking from a side angle, it's clear to see that the athlete is not quite reaching parallel. Firstly, by telling the athlete to have a wider stance when performing the squat and also forcing the knees out over the toes, it's clear to see that the athlete has an improvement in the squat, showing that there's a clear skill issue. Now that we are happy that the athlete can squat body weight adequately during the back squat, we are now looking at some drills and movements to help him once we load the bar. Here we have the athlete doing a single leg glute bridge, focused on keeping the knee aligned over the toes and not letting the pronation of the knee. The next drill that we're using with the athlete is using the resistance band, pulling the knee inwards towards the body, and the athlete has to fight against this by activating the glutes. This will be a good drill for when we come onto loading the bar and the knees coming in, and we use the cue of pushing the knee out using the glute. One final drill to stop the athlete having too much of a forward tilt is introducing the broomstick, where the athlete keeps full contact with the broomstick during the squat. Now that the athlete has been coached through the movement with the various coaching cues and also drills, it's clear to see an improvement in the athlete's squat with the knees forcing themselves out over the toes and no pronation during the squat. Here we also see an improved depth during the squat, breaking parallel. Here we have athlete B performing this overhead strict press. Straight away we can see that the athlete has adopted a very wide stance with the arms at as around a 45-degree angle opposed to vertical, so this may highlight a potential skill issue. The first thing that we have done is corrected the athlete's starting position, so we are now in position ready for an optimal press. Next, we will do a mobility test on the shoulders to see if this is a skill issue or a capacity issue. As we can see here that the athlete B has more than adequate mobility of the shoulders, so this leads us to the conclusion that this athlete has a skill issue. By simply improving the athlete's starting position, so ensuring the forearms are now at a vertical start opposed to a 45-degree angle, we can see a vast improvement in this athlete's overhead press.